So, you want to ride 300 kilometers. Easy, right? But you want to make the route interesting and not just do 100 laps of Centennial Park. Just make sure there's not too much elevation. Easy, right? Now, all you have to do is pack your food, your tools, and everything that you need for the ride. No, not you, you're staying at home. Easy, right? And I guess better find some friends to do it with as well, right? Don't want to be by yourself. Easy, right? 300 kilometers, that should probably take us about 12 hours. Probably should start pretty early. Easy, right? Surely that's it. Wait, you're telling me we have to actually ride it? Easy, right? Guess I better get out of bed and do this thing.
Morning. I've woken up at the ungodly hour of 4 AM. We've got a big adventure planned today. The idea of doing a 300 kilometer ride has always fascinated me. End of last year, I did my biggest ride, which was 205 kilometers, and I was riding a lap around Sydney. Well, today we're going to try and do 300, and we're going to go all the way to the north, up to Wisemans Ferry and Windsor, loop back round through Brooklyn, and then we're going to have to do a little loop that goes up to Duffy's Forest and Macars to finish it off. Now, 300 kilometers is hard enough, but in Sydney it's even worse because we have a ton of elevation. It is impossible to avoid the hills. I tried to make the course as flat as I could, and it's 3,800 meters elevation. Let's get going.
Just going to the meetup point, which is conveniently up the road from my house. And I see other riders turning up. I've invited a couple mates to draft off. Where we will start and finish our adventure. Did you know that the longest one-day race in the professional cycling calendar is Milan San Remo? If the professionals can do it while racing, surely us battlers could do it over the course of a day while taking our own pace. I guess there's only one way to find out. Slay the 300! And we are off on an adventure. See you guys back here in like 14 hours probably. Into legs.
Hey, I'm Daniel, this is me at 10 kilometers.
Hey, I'm Josh, this is me at 10 kilometers. Fatigue level 0. Anyone can feel physically good 10 kilometers into a 300k ride, but to be honest with you, I was pretty nervous. There's comfort in doing the routine and things that you know are easy to do, but sometimes you also need to make yourself uncomfortable. Go and do things that you've never done before, go places you've never been, and discover a new frontier of what you're physically and mentally able to do. So while we did joke about returning to the same spot, maybe 14, 15 or 16 hours later, but I knew for a fact I would definitely be learning things about myself today that I didn't know when I left. We started the ride with pretty familiar territory, going through Mangrove National Park, up to Hornsby and through Golston Gorge. Considering the length of this ride, this is just the warm-up. Whoa, hang on a second. Only 1/3 of you guys have subscribed to me? Come on. If you like cycling and adventures, why don't you see what I get up to in the future? Hit the subscribe button. Or else. This is me at 30 kilometers. Legs are feeling good still. It's not too hot. The cicadas haven't really come out yet, which is good, which means I can talk to the camera. And we're going up Golston Climb. Slowly. And slowly is the name of the game here. I'm so used to smashing myself and trying to push myself as hard as I can to feel like I'm getting the maximum out of a workout. But in this scenario, I had to physically hold myself back, be very concerted about my effort, and luckily for me, I also have a power meter. So I was constantly looking at my power meter, making sure that I wasn't doing anything silly. Any surges in watts now, and I'd definitely be feeling it later.
Hey Josh. Hi, I'm Josh. Welcome to my channel.
Not too bad. I've got the 1134 on and I'm just kind of spinning off it.
Yeah, I've got 32, but I've got compact in the front.
Ah, okay. 50-34.
I think our ratio works out about 20.
Yeah. Yeah. Sun's coming up now. Beautiful orange sunrise behind me. There was a lot of clouds before, but looks like it's going to be a pretty clear day. The forecast isn't too bad, so for an Australian summer, not bad at all. Maybe you'll touch 30 degrees, but shouldn't be more than that.
Hi, I'm Ken, and this is my first Don ski.
Alloy frames are fucking underrated to be fine. Yeah, it'll be fine. Okay? I think I'll get a
From the top of the Galston climb, it would be about 50 kilometers to our next stop. It also signified a change in the scenery we would see, going from suburban areas to more rural and hobby farms. Once we got past Cateye Ridge, this was all new territory to me. I'd never ridden in Windsor before, and I was actually amazed by how beautiful it was. And quite nicely for us, it'd be a net downhill to get there. The roads were relatively quiet. We worked together as a team, with people taking turns on the front, and we made short work of a lot of kilometers. The grass. Is this not the biggest like first world thing? It's like you're using land to grow grass in people's front yard. You can't eat it. It's not like productive. It's just aesthetic. Here we are.
for feed.
78 down. For
222
to go.
Don't do that, man. We've done 25%.
Okay. All right. Let's grab a bite to eat and refill our waters. How good is this? The cafe provides sunscreen. Yeah, mate, it's getting there. What is it? SPF 50? Love it. Let's get this Donski. Looks really weird. It was on action, so it was all warped. This is better. Okay, I know what you're thinking. 75 kilometers into the ride and you're already having a cafe stop where you're having bacon, egg rolls, coffees and everything in between. But let me explain myself. We don't have many stops planned on this ride, and in fact, most of the other ones are just servo stops. So this is our last opportunity to get some hot food and something substantial to eat. From here on out, we're going to be in some pretty secluded areas for the next 150 kilometers with very few things in between. We caught a barge over the river, and this signified the next part of our ride along Wisemans Ferry.
Yeah, right.
Get this.
Beautiful. That's the Nepean River on the left. And we got shade from all the trees on the right. Fantastic, fantastic riding. Alright. That's cracking. Cracking. Look at Daddy! So these narrow sections, it's very, very windy. Lots of blind corners. We've been riding single file so that we don't have to stress too much about a car coming around. Wow! That's cool. But yeah, so we don't have to worry about a car coming around the corner and taking us down. But check this out, baby. This is freaking incredible. Beautiful. Spectacular. Run out of adjectives. So nice. And quiet. I should come riding here more often.
I was honestly at a loss for words how to describe how beautiful this area was. Since we were riding near a river, we were in a shaded valley. It was relatively nice and cool compared to outside of it. The road quality wasn't perfect, but a good few sections had been re-asphalted, so it wasn't too bad. And after taking a ferry to the other side, we continued along the shores of the Nepean River for a few more kilometres, this time surrounded by salt marshes and mangroves, and towering mountains in the distance. This was definitely a precursor of things to come, because very soon we came up to the biggest climb of the day, which is called Mangrove Mountain. I've never done this climb before, but looking at the profile, is a bit over 10 kilometres long, about 4% average grade, so it wasn't too steep. But it was definitely going to be a war of attrition. At this point we were quite far from our last stop, water reserves were running a little low, but thankfully for me there was a stop at the very top of the climb, so the idea was to perfectly ration my water up the climb.
The climb is beautiful. On our left, got a cliff face. On our right, we've got a valley with very green foliage, these straight gum trees providing us shade, and it's not too steep yet, but I'm going to say about 4 or 5%. Okay, maybe a bit more right now. The bits without shade are brutal. The Garmin head unit is saying it's 34 degrees. Never before have I been happy to ride into a headwind uphill, but the wind chill is cooling me down and it is most welcome right now.
Most climbs in Sydney, like the Three Gorges, take about 10 minutes to do, but this climb, going at this pace, took me over half an hour. The only saving grace was that it wasn't too steep, so I could pretty much maintain my preferred cadence the whole time. And because of that, I just had to keep telling myself to just keep tapping it out.
Oh, just in time, I just ran out of water. Perfect. Perfect timing. 170 Ks, Donsky number 2. This is me at 170k. Toasty after we finished the last climb, and the temperature is way hotter than predicted. Holy moly. Oh, you're a legend. Yeah, take your frustrations out.
170 kilometers down, and also a big portion of the climbing done as well. And while that sounds like a positive, there's still so much work to be done. It's the hottest part of the day right now, about midday, and we really need to keep on top of our fueling and hydration. So what better opportunity to talk about what I've brought along with me today. I'm sure you've seen some of the items that I've been eating today, but the main things I brought are some Donskis for a little bit of salt, quite a few caffeine gels from Goo, and about 300 grams of lolly snakes. To top it off, I bought some electrolyte tablets, as well as some drink mix from Pure Nutrition. And this might not sound like a lot of stuff, but realistically we were probably stopping about every 50 to 70 kilometers. So I was going to rely on those stops at petrol stations and convenience stores just to top up my sugars. Let me show you my happy place. Oh, it's like 4 degrees in here. Actually, it's probably negative like 4. All right, back into the heat we go. 130 kilometers. So we're at Mangrove Mountain now. We need to continue going north for a little bit to get to central Mangrove Mountain. And then that's where we turn around. Pete's Ridge, Mount White, descend down Hawkesbury River, cross Brooklyn Bridge, up Brooklyn Climb, and then our next park up is Pie in the Sky in 50 kilometers.
Again, maybe.
Let's roll.
Doing such a big distance for the first time, I wasn't exactly sure how my body and how my brain would react to it. But up until this point, I was actually pleasantly surprised about how I was handling it. Fatigue levels weren't too bad. In fact, my legs felt pretty good. It was more the things around my body. For example, my neck was getting pretty tired, and also my hands from absorbing all the road vibrations. And when you're 8 or 9 hours into a bike ride, the mental game becomes so important. And the good thing for me is that with every kilometer that went by, I became more and more confident that I'll be able to finish this 300 kilometer ride. The remaining part of our journey was pretty familiar to me. It's all roads that we ride on our regular weekend rides. So I had little milestones in my head that we ticked off as we went along. With that being said though, we were all suffering from heat exhaustion. It was so incredibly hot. In fact, my Garmin head unit said the hottest temperature of the day was 39 degrees. And even though I was taking on regular water and electrolytes, to the point where I actually had to go to the toilet a few times because I was drinking so much water, I still felt the effects of heat exhaustion creeping in on me. I had a slow, dull headache, a little bit of brain fuzz, and just a constant feeling that my head was hot. We all dealt with the heat in different ways. I kept pouring water all over my head and my neck. Other people like Sean decided to take off their socks.
Oh no! Triathlete.
It's an experiment.
Triathlete.
It's an experiment.
I can get more water at the top of the hill. So I'm going to use a little bit of it now to cool myself down. Hopefully that's a good tactic. Oh, and there we go, top of Brooklyn Climb. And to top it off as well, 207 kilometers. So I've outdone my longest ride now. How good is that? Come to me. And I'll get a steak and kidney pie. Oh.
I had never eaten a steak and kidney pie before. I've never seen one before. But what the body wants, the body wants. And I just randomly ordered that and it was delicious. At this point, 200 kilometers into the ride, people were really hurting and some people were even thinking about bailing. I'm not going to name names, but the only reason why they didn't was because the train services weren't running. That, in addition to a little bit of encouragement from the others. That's what teamwork's about, right? The hardest part of the ride was behind us though. That climb that we just did was the last climb of the ride. The rest was just going to be rolling hills. And we'd also be heading towards the coast where it'd be much cooler. So it looks like the cards are in our favour.
PM. We started 12 hours ago. And we still got 75k to go. Ay, ay, ay. Number 3.
This is it. This is the very last rest stop we're going to take before we finish the ride. We had about 60 kilometers to go. We went to the toilet, filled up our water bottles, had our last bit of food, and we were determined to drive it home. At this point, we were like a well-oiled machine, all working together towards a common goal. And when our course changed direction and we started going south, back to where we started, we had a mega tailwind. I don't know how to describe it, only cyclists will know, but when you have a tailwind and you're riding, you feel invincible. We were flying home at almost 50 kilometers an hour in some sections. But just the thought of finishing 300 kilometers was like a magnet drawing me to the finish. And while I was mentally fatigued, I think I definitely felt fresher than ever. Might have also had something to do with the 3 Cokes, 2 coffees and 4 caffeine gels I had.
Still got a few more K to go. I think I've said final push like 6 times now. But for real, it's final push. For real, final push.
Did you know that recent winners of the Milan San Remo include Julian Alaphilippe, Wout van Aert and Mathieu van der Poel? Those are some pretty heavy hitters, and this distance is no joke. As we did the final few kilometers of this ride, I reflected on the last 16 hours. We had left in the dark and were pretty much arriving home in the dark. I'd pushed myself further than I ever had before. I had to have self-control to make sure that I paced myself up the climbs. And I ate way more sugar and snacks and junk food than I ever had in my entire life. To top all of it off, I saw the real importance of teamwork and mateship. Everyone in the group really took care and looked out for each other. So there you have it, a little bit of grit, a little bit of teamwork, and maybe a little bit of craziness, and you could do what the professional riders do. Easy, right?
300! You! 300, let's go! We did it! Lap 60! Alright, now to meet up with our friends who... Wait. Oh, what happened? They got balloons. Ah. Sorry, we had to do an out and back. We were short by 3 kilometers. Thank you guys. Oh man, where'd the balloons come from? Ah, good job guys.
Well done, everyone.
Good job.
Fucking solid.
YouTube as a non-cyclist. Good job, Ad.
And did you think I'd finish eating yet?
Oh, that was good already. Good job. Good job. Good job. Good job, you guys too. Let's eat, baby. Cheers, bro.
That's going to be it. That's going to be the end of the video. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. If you stuck around all the way to the very end, I really appreciate it because I know this video was quite a long one. I hope that you were entertained. I hope that you found this ride and this video interesting, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.